Hi, I'm Tom Hall, Senior Creative Director for Resolution Games. We've got a couple of really cool updates for you. Let's take a look. One we're excited about, Blaston, is now going to have a single-player campaign, which is really cool. You get to battle against these 4 Octopresence mod ops. Once you've defeated all of them, you get to face their boss, Argentia. She's a really cool boss that is going to be difficult to defeat, but I think you can do it. One of the cool things about this new update is some of the sort of flavor around the world. You get to learn more about this interesting future dystopia we've created. Also in this update, you'll get to see a new area, Scrapper Street, full of robots moving around and cars flying overhead, and more of the cool, edgy future that Blaston fans have grown to love. At the end of Scrapper Street is a new arena, and you're going to have to find it and earn your way into it.
1 minute.
Also featured in this update is the ability to use tokens, so you can put them in the jukebox and choose many songs, or you can put them in Super Alien Blast, the new and updated version of Alien Blast. And here is update number 2, the update to Demio. Welcome to the realm of the Rat King.
Hello and welcome to the update, the Crackdown update launch stream. I guess that's the way to say it the best way. I am Depur, your Blaston community manager, and today I'm going to take you through a couple of developer interviews that we have ready up for you. And at the end, we will also show the new trailer. The trailer that you just saw was the one that we showed for the Upload VR showcase, where we announced the announcement date, or the date for the updates for the Crackdown update, but as well as the Demio, the next update for the Demio game. Sorry, this is very live now, so I'm not under any script, but what we're going to do during this stream is now I'm going to take look through some questions that we've had sent in from the community. Then we're going to have some interviews with people from development team, and I have to admit that this is the first time I'm very nervous about this stream because, as you may know, and it would have felt weird if we wouldn't have talked about this. There has been a lot of talk regarding in-game ads in Blaston, so I would like to start the stream off by just kind of clearing some things up, hopefully, but also give you some more information about it so that we can move on to focus on the Crackdown update for this stream. We will have more information about what you have heard or may have not read before. But to start things off is that we know that many are wondering about the recent article and the inclusion of ads getting added into Blaston. And to start off, we would like to point out that this is a temporary test that we wanted to use to search for a different way on how to grow Blaston as a game. So it's first of all, it's not something that we intended as a permanent feature, as for starters at least. We have a healthy player base and community right now, but if we want, or if we could, then we want to make Blaston even bigger and stronger than it already is. So if you've followed I guess, the development of Blaston, you know that we've always had high ambitions for the game. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, as you can tell by me working from home, we're not able to realize some of these ambitions, such as hosting offline events for the game, or, well, nothing is yet really certain because of how the development of the game will continue, but we hope to make it as big as it can be. Yes, I'm just checking so that everyone can hear me as well. I do hope that you can hear me clearly here in the stream. And just so you know also that this is not pre-recorded. But continuing on, so one of the core elements of Blaston is to create a competitive experience that feels natural to play in VR using your entire body. So we always wanted the kind of players to use their entire body when playing and not just kind of teleporting around when they're in the actual duels. And with this, we have seen a lot of players develop unique play styles, and even like some people even use the game as a fitness tool or categorize it as a sport. We've seen people have been using Blaston to try to reduce their weight and things like that, which is amazing to see. So with that in mind, we wanted to just mention that we never wanted to kind of, or never want to look to tamper with that experience, because it wants it to feel natural, right? So we will never introduce something that feels unnatural to the gameplay of Blaston. So the ads that will be in the test is closer to what you would see in real world sports events, and they would never be intrusive as like things that you've been seeing in mobile games where a banner would pop up or anything like that. Um, we hope that you won't find these to be like too disruptive or of a burden, because the trade-off and goal that we had in mind for this is that if it's successful, we want to be able to deliver more content and blast onto you at a lesser cost. So that is like we can be pretty transparent on that end there. Um, but with that being said, we will closely monitor the test and take all feedback seriously. We hope that you continue to trust us like you have been up until this point. And that you continue to share your honest thoughts and opinions with us. If you have, if you will or have any, I guess, unpleasant experience, feel free to contact us either via Discord or our support email. And if you have any suggestions on how to improve things, we're always here to kind of listen to the feedback that a lot of you have been sending in this past week. Um, I know that that's not so much information, and that is because we're actually really early in this, and we haven't even implemented it into the game. And but more as time goes by, we will be fully transparent with you and actually show how it works and give you more information as much as we can. All right. So we hope that that kind of answers some questions for now, so that we can continue and focus on the Blaston Crackdown update. And to um, to look at chat here just for a second here. Um, so what does it mean for it to be successful? That's the thing, right? It's a test, so we don't know what success means right now. But if it is successful or if it isn't successful, those are the things that we will, share with you moving forward. So thank you for giving all the feedback up so far. But let's, for now, focus on the Blaston Crackdown update, which is getting released in about 54 minutes. So I have to be kind of quick here because we have so many things lined up. So we had a few questions being sent in to us last week. We had a sheet that people could send things in. So we got them answered by the developers, but I had some questions that were sent in to me as well. So one of the questions was, how will you get a new arena that is being added into the game? So once you've completed the single player campaign, you will be able to unlock the arena in the store. So that's maybe important to know. So I hope that you will enjoy that new arena. So another thing that was mentioned in the Upload VR video was the coins. The coins are called tokens, and you will be able to find them throughout the game. I believe it is in the Scrapper Street, but you will have to search for them, and you'll be able to use them for the Oso launch to things like starting the jukebox or play Super Alien Blast. And yes, I said Super Alien Blast, not Alien Blast, because it has been upgraded. Um, one of the questions we had as well was if I was a voice actor in the in the update, and can confirm that I am. I am one of the mod ops in the game. At least my voice is. And the other characters, the mod ops, are actually also voiced by members of the team. So it will be interesting to see if people can actually place who is playing who, because we will interview the developers in the stream as well. Um, one more question was, will there be more updates after this one, after the Crackdown update? And yes, I can confirm that we've already begun working on the next, I guess, content piece for Blaston. And yeah, you see, this is the thing. It's not like super scripted. I'm getting Discord notifications and things as well. One other question was, is the team working on other projects? And what I can say is this team specifically works only on Blaston, but sometimes we will get assistance from other parts of Resolution Games, which is a company that is very much growing right now. Me being a part of that, I just joined a few months ago. So we do sometimes get help from other members of the company as well. Um, and will there be a price change? So right now we don't have really any information on this with Blaston, but you will be seeing Blaston on a few sales coming up shortly, so keep an eye out for that. Um, a really important question, which we were going to mention in our roadmap coming up, but what was why did the update schedule change from monthly to bi-monthly? And so there are two main reasons for why we did that. So one of the reasons is that we wanted to be able to fit in more content in an update, which wasn't really possible with our current setup and having it like being released month by month. The second thing is that if you update the games bi-monthly or like quarterly, it actually has better results for when being seen like in stores and stuff like that. So it's an optimization that we kind of adapted to how things work in terms of how the game is being seen as well. Um, and and I will also look at chat and see if there's any questions. I'm just going through these ones that were sent in first of all. So another question was, will there be bracket tournaments in the game? And bracket tournaments, if you know me and if you know what the work I've been putting in, is that I love esports, and those are something that I really want to see in Blaston. Um, but and we might do that at some point, but until then, you are now able to actually host and make your own tournaments on a website called Challenger Mode. So if you haven't checked that out, you can do that, and it's pretty easy to set up actually. We will have an update or a YouTube video coming out on that on our Blaston YouTube channel. So if you haven't checked that out, you should be doing that. Um, one one question was how many more updates are coming for the game, and I mean I can't confirm exactly how many they are, but as many as possible. We focus on one update at a time. So now we're wrapping up the Crackdown update, right? So we've already started the new or the work on the next update. So, but then we do that in that way because we want to be adaptable and listen to player feedback. If you've been a part of the community for a long time, then you may have noticed that, if you have suggested something, it may actually not come in the upcoming update, but the update after that. And that's the thing that we try to kind of stay true to and keep in mind when we continue to update Blaston. And one question was, what is new in the update more specifically? And we will have patch notes for you coming up very, very soon. I am hovering the the post patch notes button actually. Uh, and yes, okay, so to just clarify anything here in the chat is that um, bracket tournaments equals knockout tournaments. Yes, so bracket tournaments, I was assuming that someone meant single or double elimination brackets. As for balancing of the game, we will continue to balance the game as we've had done before. It might be now that we do it on a bi-monthly basis now with the updates, or like more bi-monthly, quarterly basis. So you can look forward to that at least, and we will be keeping track of the meta and how it works out. So really fun to see so many people here in chat as well. Uh, and if I can't answer to all of these questions, you're free to actually send them to us on the Discord. What we are going to do now, because I have to check uh, the schedule, because this is a very tight schedule. If you don't know, the launch trailer is premiering on a Resolution YouTube channel at 5 p.m. in my time zone, which is in 49 minutes. You can, or 48. You can see the timer. I believe it is. Am I pointing in the right? Yes, somewhere around here. There, sorry. So when that goes to 0, you will see the new trailer. So that's how it's going to work. So for the developers, we are going to actually hear more from one of them. So the first interview that we have lined up, which was recorded a bit earlier, but not that long ago, as you can tell by my my clothes, is going to be with Louise, who is a concept artist. So just give me a second, and I will be able to show that to you. I believe. I believe that is done something like this. So I'm moderating all of this and trying to run the stream at the same time. Hopefully this will work out. I do believe that this is how it's gonna work. So first interview is gonna be with Louise, the concept artist from the Blaston team. And again, thank you for the follows. Had to just say it. Okay.
All right, and we're back, and with us this time we have Louise, or Major, which you might have seen in the Discord chats or perhaps in the creative section of the Discord. But tell us a bit what you do in the team, rather.
Well, in the team, I am responsible for pretty much all concepts. So I'm a concept artist, and it's a work tasks that varies depending on what studio you are. So many game studios use concept artists in different ways. At Resolution, we do pretty much everything. Like I do art for our promotion stuff. I do all concepts for our characters, for our guns or tools, all tools, environments. I did do a lot of the UI stuff, but I don't have to anymore, which is amazing. So now we have a UI artist for that, which I am eternally grateful for. But otherwise, it's pretty much talking a lot to the 3D artist, so making sketches or very rendered stuff, like a very detailed stuff for the 3D artists to get into the game.
Yeah, and I mean, we're super thankful for that. And I know, I mean, me from being in the team, I know that there's a process. It's of like the concept going into 3D and how it's getting implemented and all of that things. It's like everyone is kind of involved. Like we have a couple of questions from the community actually, and one of them was, I guess, related to this the Crackdown update, because someone was wondering about the inspiration of Argentia. And I mean, I know that you were the one who kind of drew the concepts for her, so I'm kind of curious of the like what the idea for her came from, because she's has a very stylized personality and is very cool. So
okay, so the main inspiration for Argentia was actually that we, as a team, we wanted to do a style test. So up until that point, all of the characters we have is very
mask,
it's like a face mask, exactly.
Yeah.
Like a more sports equipment, mask inspired. And one of the things that came up frequently in discussions with the team was that was such a shame, because we do have excellent animators, for example. And one of my 3D artists, I saw some hobby art he did in his spare time where he used blend shapes, it's called. So you can make expressions. So you make one angry face, and then you have this neutral, and then you can just blend between them, and it's quite a cheap way to do animations. And that is one of the things you always have to consider with VR, because so for artists, when we work in VR, it's a lot, like we have this amazing like a toolbox of things, like, oh, these are all the things we can do if we would make a PC game, for example, like a normal flat screen game. And then it's like, oh no, but it's VR, so let's take away all the pretty stuff, and what can we do with it?
No, I was gonna say, like, when you said cheap, you mean like optimization wise, right? Like,
yeah.
It's not that exactly. She looks cheap in any way.
No, it's like working smart, I guess, is a better way to put it.
Yeah, for sure.
But so one of the things we wanted to try was to make a character with more facial expressions. So her design came from that. So with that in mind, my design brief, which I call it, is like, usually if we have a meeting with the whole team, I will collect some points, like, okay, these are the points I need to hit with the concept. So one of those things was a bit more humanoid, but not too realistic or too like uncanny. So the problem when we do humans in VR is that we instantly recognize if something is wrong.
Yeah.
So that is why it was okay, we need to do some sort of stylization to also make her fit like the actual Blaston world. We couldn't just do, for example, if we would have done like Dishonored or Red Dead Redemption style, it would have Like it would have been a very clear distinction. But so the
Yeah,
whole
and
thing, like making her human, came from that part, and then it's all like a matter of probably what I've seen lately. Like as an artist, when you do a design, it's you take into account what's her backstory. And now I had pretty free range since we can actually talk about it now. Like
yeah,
the
yeah, we can.
Octopresence, yes, it's not secret anymore. So since we got help from Tom Hall, with doing the world building, so he had a few points like about this Octopresence, oppressive like police force, and then I just took that concept and just ran with it. Um, and there's so many more things, but I'm
Yeah.
not gonna tell you everything. But she's a part of an organization, so
Yeah.
she had to have a look that I could play and replicate to more characters.
Mm.
We knew that we wanted to have hair because all of our characters have this sort of light, glowy hair, and also a hairstyle that is. I wouldn't give her my hairstyle, for example, like when it's flat and it sort of looks the same.
Yeah.
So you want the hairstyles to look different from the front than they do from the side, to make it to help intuitively maybe the players to understand when the other player is turning around.
Yeah.
So that's one of the design things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like the latest things I've seen, like Guardian of the Galaxy, I think had this, and the blue face. So trying to take away some of the creepiness, the potential creepiness by changing the skin color is one very like easy, not sheet or sheep. Like it's a good way. It's a good way to get away with the uncanny stuff.
Yeah.
And then otherwise it was just like badass. I was looking at Sonny's Edge from Love, Death and Robots. Just and taking the design from the Octopresence and those like the uniforms and stuff, and then just making her uniform a variation of it, but making it feel a bit more unique. So she's not wearing the normal like a police gear, but her own version, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm super excited to see it all come together too, because I've mostly been seeing the work in progress stuff, but now when you actually see it in game, and like, especially with how she's emoting and moving around and the introduction of her, I think it all kind of came together very nicely, and I can't wait to see like more of kind of like personally myself, I'm actually being honest, like seeing more of what the game will kind of be introducing in that way. But we actually had a few more questions, and one of them was that like, so there are a lot of different characters that has been introduced now. I mean, the avatars that you can play as, the Octo Agent, and now Argentia and the Mod Ops, and it just, I guess, more of like, do you have a favorite of these? Because I know that they're very different from each other, and especially like we've introduced new styles with like hacks and scrofax and all of that. So like, which one has been your favorite to work with?
I really liked working with Argentia, probably because so there's usually very, what do you call it, like there's a high time, like what do you call it, like it's time sensitive. That concept needs to be finished before 3D can start working. So, and a lot of our characters have to be finished for the concepts like in 1 day. 1 or 2 days. But with Argentia, since it was sort of an experiment, I got some more time, so I actually had time to do like sketch some facial expressions and get more personality into her. But aside from that, I think I really liked hacks. Like, I don't know what it was. It just felt like his design is sort of simple, but I just loved the personality. It was just like, yeah, but I like him.
It's like the edgy hacker boy. I kind of dig him as well. And but that actually leads into one of the other questions, because someone else asked if like if the avatars actually have personalities, or like do you imagine them to have that? Because I mean, for me, when I got into Blaston now, since I joined after the release of the game, to me, like when I see Lux, I have like this badass kind of image of what she is, and then maybe Drax, I would think of him as being more like aggressive for some reason, but like still kind, maybe like passionate. But that's just things that I've kind of I guess, taken in from how they look like and how they've been displayed in the trailer. So I'm kind of curious as well, like, has that been on your mind when you've designed these characters?
Yeah, definitely. So at the very start, it was more a sense of getting variation. So I think the absolutely first character that we nailed the style for was Canix. So he's like the core look. And I actually got help from another artist at our studio, Jonathan. And that was because it was at the start of the project, like 2 years ago, I think. We just did like a lot of different versions. We were looking at like, you know, super hot style with low poly stuff. We did some very creepy, more realistic stuff. It was just, you know, a lot of sketching, and he helped out because my personal style is more towards realism. So getting into the stylization, he helped a lot. But so Canix was the first one. And from him, Jonathan did the first version of Lix. So with her, we just wanted to, you know, okay, Canix is a lot of squares and then spikes, like triangles. So this is usually the artist's, this is like one of our toolboxes. It's like, okay, how many circles, how many triangles, and how many squares do we want to get into a character? Because a lot of circles will emote or make you feel like a character is more baby face, like babies are round. They have big round eyes, they have round heads. You can look at it in any Pixar movie, or Disney is like, they are the master of this. All villains are triangles always, because triangles are dangerous. You can look at like the world of animals and everything, like spikes and triangles are dangerous, and squares are stability. So it's all like a what was the question? Their personalities, yes. So I wouldn't want to put like Torex, for example. With Torex, I really wanted a more mean character, like a bully. Ha ha ha. There's so many puns going on.
That's
I
so
mean,
good.
yeah. So if I want a bully, I wouldn't make him like soft and nice. He was practically just only triangles, like his spiky horns, his like the face mask, skull mask, everything in his uniform is very like triangle-y. So I do have those things in mind, and sometimes the design of the personality comes through, and sometimes it can be like a hit and miss, I guess. Like sometimes I can imagine something, but then once either the players or when you start making, so for example now when we did the campaign, sometimes it's good also if people like when they did all the emotes and stuff, just like going crazy with it, especially since we have the mod ops. So in my mind, mod ops, they are not the same as like mod op Drax is not the same personality as actual Drax. So that gave our designer a lot more freedom just to go like, okay, what do you want in the campaign? How do you want to build up, and just go with it. But they definitely have personalities.
But that's really cool to hear too, because I've seen as well, like now when I've gotten to know the community a bit more, it's fun to see how people have kind of adopted the avatar. Like this player is only playing with this avatar, it becomes like a part of their persona, and it's really interesting to see, because with VR it's also the extended element of, like, you know, if you compare it to fighting games, you're an avatar on a screen, but in VR you become that avatar in some way, so you can see them move around in the matches. So it's really cool to see that, or hear that they have some intended personality, but maybe sometimes they are expressed in different ways, and that, you know, it's just the freedom of VR, I guess. So one other question we do have was and I guess this is more connected to future updates, but one asked is like if we're going to have more character skins, and I mean, I guess we can say that we're working on stuff.
Yeah, so character skins are very now I don't want to say sheep, I keep saying sheep. It's easy to make. So compare when I have to for instance, when I'm making a new character, the concept part is usually the very fast one. So say I spend 2 days on a totally new character, those 2 days will still take the 3D art like a week minimum, because there's so many steps you have to do, and there's like you have to do a low poly and you have to sculpt and you have to like UV map and a texture, and so. But skins is like you probably guessed from all games, it's very easy to make. Because I don't have to design a lot. I can just, like I've done so far, it's just, you know, go in and make some cool pattern, or think of a way that, okay, if I make Drax, like some of you, if you hang out in our art server in Discord, I did post like a cowboy version of Drax, and then it's just like, okay, how can I take the design if I make his face mask darker on the bottom half? It sort of looks like he has a bandana, right?
Yeah.
So it's more about how I can play with the values, like how a design can be altered to look cool in a new way, and that is, then I can do maybe 4 of those in a day, easy.
Yeah, I love the final part. Easy. It's just like easy to make, but no, it's great to hear too. And I mean, I guess from my end, we can just confirm that we're going to continue to work on Blaston and adding content to it. So of course, like character skins is a part of that. So we can just say yes, but we'll give more information when the time comes for those updates. But yeah, I think that's all we have for now for this time, because we have the other interviews going on as well. So thank you so much for taking the time and talking to us.
Yes, thank you. And again, just for a final shout out to the community, I mean, please drop by the art channel, and if you have suggestions of things you want to see, like you know, people requested like, oh, I really want a penguin. Yeah, now we sort of have a penguin. So I listen and I'm there, and I mean, if you want a skin or a character design, just like let me know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And we're back, and I didn't unmute myself. Hello. So these interviews have been pre-recorded now a bit earlier because of the developers being very busy with the update. But as you can see, we have still about 29 minutes before the update goes live. Thank you so much for Louise to answering some of the questions that was sent in last week. Really great. And one of the things that was mentioned was that she said the art channel. It was called the art channel, but recently I changed it to creative, because the community, you're creative in many ways besides just making art. So I wanted to be more inclusive there. But definitely. So, and if you're not aware, most of the development team is actually on the Discord, and you can talk to us. So it's very, very appreciated that you do so. I'm gonna look at the time here and see where we're at, because we actually might have the next interview. We have to run them, okay, before the trailer comes out. So the next up, next up, we're gonna have the interview with Niklas, who you may have seen on a stream earlier that we had. And if you haven't seen that, it was really funny when me and him took a look at some gameplay. But we're going to talk specifically about the netcode of Blaston. And if you're a fighting game fan, maybe you know this word more than ever before. But that is what we're gonna take a look at and talk about next. So. And as these are pre-recorded, I'm still in chat answering as much as I can. So even if you have questions that aren't answered in the video, please feel free to write them, and I'll see if I can answer them as best as I can. So let's take a look and hear more from Niklas, shall we?
Well, hello and welcome back. Now we have Niklas, or Hyckelnarpa, which is easy for a Swede to pronounce, with me here. And if you've been watching our streams, you've seen Niklas before. He is one of the programmers on the team. Maybe you can, I guess, tell us more about what you've been doing on the game, and maybe more specifically on the update as well, with the Crackdown update.
Yeah. So I started Blaston not initially from the beginning, but quite early, way before we were anywhere near a launchable game. My main focus since about 20 years is internet programming. So that was where I started, both getting the game set up so that communication within the match flows nicely and reliably, and also all of this storing your progress, getting you the leaderboards, all of those things.
The complicated stuff.
It's complicated for people looking from the outside, but I think it's about as complicated as anything else. It's just not as spectacular, but it's important, and it's more fun to work with than you might think.
Yeah, but and so with this update, because now we've added a few things with the Crackdown update, like what has been your focus within this update specifically?
So in this update I have had two focuses. One is actually I've been working with the actual game mode, so in the game client, making sure you get the right opponent, doing the right things, getting your progress reported correctly. And on top of that, or in conjunction with that, I've made sure that we store your progress on our servers, so that the next time you log in, even though you log in on another headset or you have reinstall or whatever, we still know where you're at, and that you get the rewards you're supposed to be getting. They're fancy rewards, so you should really go for the campaign.
Yeah, nice plug there, by the way.
Yes.
But yeah, actually, one of the questions are more, I guess, geared to the single player campaign, because, and I guess a part of it is the progress. But like, what more or less were the biggest challenges with this? Because I from my perspective, this new mode that we have in the game is almost like a separate game, right? Like, I know that we're reusing some parts when you face a robot, or how you say it, but it's still a different part of the game. So like, what was the more, I guess, challenging part for you to work with this?
So I think the big challenge is creating an interesting campaign, and that's not so the hard parts has been done by other people, but the main challenge for me is to get especially this special game mode, because we're trying to reuse as much as we can. You are in a familiar setting, you're using familiar tools, the rules are familiar, but they're not exactly the same. And making sure that they are close enough so that we actually reuse some things, that you do recognize the game, and we do not reinvent every wheel every time. But still, that it is working the way we want it to work. Getting that balance has been a bit of a challenge, and it took quite a bit of ironing it out to figure out exactly how much we could just copy, how much we needed to change, how much we could actually reuse. And there have been strange small things happening that wasn't really intended, but they're also fun, where you get like some aspect of the original game you didn't really want, but you didn't think of removing it.
I guess it's like is it a bug or a feature kind of aspect that sometimes comes in. And
yes.
And the one interesting part too, because I think people who are watching, maybe they don't know maybe that much about programming or such, but I mean, I feel have dabbled a bit with it, is that like there is a lot of creativity in those I guess restrictions that you were talking about, that like, while it's not creativity of like drawing or like actually making something visually, it's like how to solve this challenge by, like, when you say reusing, it's like reusing code, right? And like applying it to different places so that the game flows good, because that's also like a main aspect of it. We've talked about optimizations previously too, but like and I like that aspect of it too, and I think that's probably has been I would assume is a challenge for you too. So
it's a challenge in many dimensions, because it both, I want to reuse this code because that makes me give you a new game mode faster, but also next time if we need to add yet a third game mode, how much do I need to prepare the things I have now, so I can add a third one, and what's a third one gonna be? This second game mode we now know what it is. We didn't know that a few weeks ago because we were still figuring it out. But the next thing we want to add, should I start cater for that and so on? And those challenges are interesting.
I guess, is that what you would call future proofing, or am I wrong
yes,
on the
a little bit.
buzzwords here?
Future proofing, yes, we could call it future proofing.
Okay.
It's also usually we as programmers we tend to want to future proof a bit too much.
Yeah.
So we have this really simple problem. Let's do this super complex solution that can solve any problem. And that's you don't need to go there either, because then it's going to take me 2 years to give you the next game mode, and we don't want to wait 2 years for the next game mode.
No, we don't. And I mean, luckily we won't, at least for this time, for this update, because it's now when we're recording this, it's a bit earlier, but it will be releasing now. So but we do have some questions from the community that came in, which was kind of interesting, and some of them very technical. But so one of the questions was, do I face players in my own region? And I guess to answer that question, it's like, do we even have regions? Like, how does that work, I guess?
Yes. So we have several regions. Actually, I had to bring me a cheat note here to just to remember them all, because they're quite many. So we have 2 US regions, one for the West Coast and one for Center and East. Then we have 1 Canadian region. We have 1 European, or 1 EU, sorry. And we have a Russian region as well. We have Japan. We have one called Asia, which is a little bit broad, but it's I think the servers are actually in India, but I'm not super sure. We're actually renting these servers from another company, so we don't provide all of this. By ours. We have this as a part of the offering from our helpers there.
But so I don't, just like a follow-up to that, I guess. So when people say region and we say server, they're pretty much the similar thing. Like
yes,
it's the closest server that you're going to connect to be able to play the game, right?
Yes, and a server is also, it's a bit of a simplification, because there are a lot of servers in each region, and there are mechanisms to make sure that, because for you and me to play, we need to be on the same server, but you and me, we only connect to the same region, and then the servers figure out, okay, these 2 people need to move them to the same server in that region. I didn't even finish the list, because we have Australia, Korea, we have Eastern Russia as well. So we have Western Russia, Eastern Russia, and then we have Australia.
In Australia, Eastern and Western Russia is like very, it's very far apart. So
it's very, very far apart. And we do have South American servers as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that's great. I think it's interesting, because I know from other games that even this amount of servers is not super common, at least when it comes to other competitive games, where it's you probably will see a list of them, but I guess we don't feel like we need to show that. We just want to give you the best experience that you can have.
So what we're trying to do when we do the matchmaking, so we figure out for every user, we figure out which is your best server, and apart from your best servers, how good are the other servers? So we ping every server, not every time, but quite often, so we know which servers you would prefer. And then when we matchmake, we strive to matchmake people that have the same favorite servers. So we actually have a cutoff. I say I can only play on servers that are, I think, I don't remember the exact number, but it's somewhere 200 milliseconds away. And these are my 6 servers that fit that description. So in my case, it would be EU, the Western Russian, maybe the US and Canadian servers, the Eastern ones. And the Asian one, but most likely not the Australian one, and maybe not the US West one. Depending on how fast my internet is also. So it's the total from my headset all the way to the server. That's what we measure. And then we try to match people that have at least one server in common. So if you also have the Russian server, and I have the Russian server, we can be matched, and then we play on the Russian server.
Yeah.
So that's how we try to do it.
Yeah, and I mean that is a very interesting thing, and I mean one thing I want to kind of point out too, because I think we have spoken a bit about it when we streamed earlier. And by the way, if someone is watching this and haven't checked that out, it was really funny when we were watching the games. But is that you mentioned like 200 milliseconds, and like I think for Blaston, this is not a community question, but it's really interesting that despite like with the Oculus Quest, being wireless, the connections might not be as stable as like a wired headset. Still, like the experience in Blaston, at least from my perspective, is like really good, even though if you have pretty bad connection. Like if you compare it to, I guess a shooter game where you have like hit scans, since Blaston has like projectiles that move pretty slowly, like even though you have a pretty, I wouldn't say bad connection, but like less suboptimal, then you can still get a pretty like okay experience. Is at least my my assumption that I hope is fair. But we're gonna move on to the next question, and I get this. I'm almost not sure if this is a programmer question, but this is more of a community question. But the question is, what are the main regions then for the game? And I mean, I guess from a community perspective, I would just say America, because that's where the most of our target, like the target audience for VR is these days. But I mean, it's also growing everywhere. But I'm not sure if that's, maybe I'm missing something in a programmer aspect when it comes to what a main region is. But would you agree there?
Yes, so I have. We know where you're playing, since we need to know, and I'm actually looking at the statistics. So almost, not really half of our games, but 40% of our games are played in the region we call that is the eastern or central part of US. That's the most common, and after that, the biggest region is the western US. So US, if you mash those together, they are all not everything, but a vast majority. And then EU is close to US West in size, but still, if you clump the full US together, they are much bigger. So US, that's the main, and then EU, and then a bit of Canada, and then the rest of servers I can't almost read in the graphs because the bars are so low.
But it's interesting to know too, because like I guess one of the things that we are seeing, not just for Blaston, but like all of our games, is like how VR is growing in the different regions as well. So maybe this is the reality now, but we have no idea how it's going to look like a few years from now when things start to pop up for VR everywhere. So one of the questions, and this was one of the longer ones, I have to like adjust my screen here a bit because it was a bit interesting. And I guess you almost entirely answer this, but when a game is initiated, is it direct player to player, or do we join a server that favors a region? And I guess it would be the latter one then, right?
Yes, we need to connect to a server, and there are a few rather good reasons for that. And that is, it's rather hard to connect a device on my Wi-Fi to a device on your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Because there are routers and all sorts of stuff in between. But for your device to connect to a server is easy, and my device connect to a server is easy, and then we just need the server to do the final bit of bouncing it back and forth. So I think it would be quicker, and the turnaround and the ping times would be lower if we connected peer to peer. But then we would have it would very often be very hard to do the connection. This is a much more reliable way of setting up the connection.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess also to mention, for anyone is tuning into that, like, how we continue to, like, I guess, improve the experience too is a bit dependent on users actually reporting if they have a bad experience, or like actually talking to us, and that is a part of why we're so active in Discord, because we learn a lot from this. And so I think not in this update, but previously we actually adjusted some of these, like, I guess, caps when it comes to like connectivity, and we saw an improvement there, at least for some cases. So big thanks to anyone who is actually helping us with that type of work to make, I guess, the experience better in a sense. So the last question we have here now was.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I thought of one more thing regarding the server versus peer-to-peer. And another thing we get from using a server is the spectator mode.
Oh yeah. Yes,
because then other people can also connect. Otherwise, we would need to negotiate all of these peer-to-peer to wherever.
Yeah.
And as a side note, we're actually also we are using the same networking technology for the same regions and so on for the Ozo Lounge, which is not only the arenas.
Yeah. No, but that's super good to know too, because that is an aspect that we hopefully we will be able to improve also, like the spectator kind of part of the game. But it's really interesting to see to be able to watch the matches too, which I think is it's very rare these days in VR to actually get a good spectator experience. So definitely worth to note in these types of conversations. So I'm glad you did say that. Unless you had something more to add, I was gonna go to the last question.
No. That's fine. Now I'm done with
Okay.
networking. I like networking. This is it's important.
It's great to hear the passion for this. The last question, because this was mentioned in the Discord earlier, that now with this update we are going to introduce like a warning feature, I guess, or a system. So previously in the community, we've unfortunately, when people break the rules or our code of conduct, we have to ban them, and we do that dependingly on how severe the breaking of the rule is. It's a different time, but now we're going to introduce a warning system, and I have had the pleasure of getting a warning from you, so I know how this works. But I mean, maybe you can explain what happens when someone gets a warning in the game.
So it's quite simple. As a user, if we find out that you've been misbehaving somehow, most likely you will write a text that is then next time the user logs on, the user will get the message. So the menu will go away. You will get a message saying, "We've seen you do this and this and that. Please stop or read our terms or conditions or." So on, or come to the Discord and we'll talk about how to be a good sportsman. And we of course keep a record of that, so we know who we've been warning and so on. We can read these messages in hindsight. So it's like a first step, rather than saying ban, you're out, never come back. We can first say please behave a bit better, and if that doesn't work, we still have the ban hammer. We haven't removed that one.
No, we don't. And I think also just kind of mention, because this is an important aspect of the game, because like how you behave is feels so real sometimes in VR. So it is important that we have these kind of systems to, I guess, promote people to be, as you say, sportsman-like. But yeah, and hopefully that warning feature shouldn't scare people. People should be happy that we can now warn people instead of just instantly ban you.
Yes. But so it's a nicer way, and we should get a good. Let's hope we get a good result by just telling people this is what we expect from you. Please be nice.
And with that positive last note, we're going to end it here. So thank you so much, Niklas, for taking the time to answer some questions. It's been really enlightening, so thank you.
Thank you.
It works better when I unmute my mic. So we're closing in on the trailer, and we're just gonna jump into the next one, because the the update is premiering in very, very short time. So I'm gonna do this as quickly as I can. I hope you're getting ready in chat now. This is getting a bit down to the wire, but isn't it always when we do these streams? Okay, here's the next interview with Ben, who is the game designer on the team. So give me a second to get things started for you.
All right, thank you for coming on here, Ben, to answer some questions. If you don't know Ben is the designer on the Blaston team, so we'll have a few really nice answers, because we have some questions lined up from the community. And one of the first ones starting off was, why did you make a single player campaign, which is a part of the Crackdown update?
Yeah, so we made it because we want to give a helping hand for new players to really get cemented in the game. We found that going straight into dueling can be a little bit daunting for some people, but this gives them a nice way to enter and see what Blaston's about. The single player campaign might be a little bit easy for people in Overlord at the moment, but there's some good rewards there as well. So this way, hopefully, we're going to get some more people playing Blaston, some longer life from the people playing Blaston, and then that benefits everyone. So there'll be more people online all the time for everyone to be playing.
That's great. And I mean, what isn't easy for Overlord players, am I right? Like, it's kind of hard to design something when you have these extremely good players in the game. But
exactly.
So in the single player campaign, we're introducing something called the mod ops, which is like the people that you go up against. So can you like a bit, I guess, describe them a bit more, so to introduce them to the community, because they're pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah, so as we know, we've had some visitors in some previous tournaments, the Octo Agents. Now, they were just doing a reconnaissance mission, and their parent company, the Octo Presence, they've decided that Blaston, it's an illegal game, and everyone's having a little bit too much fun. So they've taken over some of the neotechs, or the current characters that you're using now, the neotechs, and they've converted them to be mod ops. And they're going to test your wits, test your skills, and see what this is all about.
That's really interesting, because I'm not sure if I guess now is the time where people will realize that there is actually a world to Blaston. I think the team has been aware of this like before this, but it's now getting kind of introduced to the game and to the players as well. So it's really fun to see. And obviously the mod ops being led by Argentia, it's going to be really fun because she has so much personality. I guess it's been really fun to, I guess, design her as well, and the fights leading up to her. Speaking of
absolutely.
Yeah, speaking of the favorite designs and stuff, we actually had a question that was like, what was your favorite weapon to this design? Because I think that you've been very involved when it comes to the balancing and like introducing the new weapons to the game, right?
Yeah, there's been a couple of fun ones, but I would have to say I'm going to be a little bit boring here and say that it's going to be the Viper Ellipse. It's extremely fun to use. Going back, it's the first one that I was actually beating everyone with as well, because I had a lot of time to practice. I had a lot of time to practice and taught Woody a few tricks. I wish I didn't teach him. But now I have to prepare myself before I go into any of those Overlord matches. It's got going to Blaston VR War. But yeah, it'd have to be the Viper Ellipse. There's a higher skill cap on it. And
skill curve. Well, that's kind
skill
of
curve. Yeah, skill curve.
But I guess as a follow-up question, was the inspiration for that design from the Wanted movies, or was that just like it just happened to be similar?
There's definitely a little bit of you can see it a little bit in there. I think the motivation really was to create a weapon that was easy to use but hard to master, and hopefully we're going to be bringing out a lot more of those pretty soon as well.
Yeah. All right. Great. Thanks. And so obviously the patch notes will go live pretty much when this is airing now, but one of the questions, and I can almost assume who sent this question in, but the question was, will the Quicksilver get a buff? Which is very specific, but it's the tether weapon if you're new to Blaston.
Wesso. I'm almost guaranteeing it's Wesso. Look, we're working on it. We're going to see what we can do. You'll see now the updates coming out right now, and you'll see that we've been working on a lot of different balances which can buff the Quicksilver a little bit. We're going to continue working on it. I think it's a great concept. It hasn't got its a solid place yet, but if we continue working on it and we can't necessarily buff it completely, there might be a rework.
All right. And that's interesting. I mean, I think as far as since I've joined the team, it feels like we're no stranger to actually like redesigning or changing the weapons at all if we feel that they're wrong, and especially with new weapons being introduced too. So it's kind of almost like a follow-up question too, but one of the questions was that like has there been a main focus for this update in terms of balance of the weapons? Because we've had an update previously, I think it was the almost called the Nova Helix update because it was focused on that. But what has been the main focus of the balance for this one?
So the main focus for this one, we've been hard at work on the single player campaign. And as everyone knows, we were updating monthly with a new weapon. We took this opportunity to really hone down on the meta and buff particular weapons to make sure that more weapons were viable in more decks at the moment. So there's no new weapon for this update. There's new weapons coming, but we really wanted to kind of clean up the gameplay a little bit for this one.
All right, and I'm really excited to see how people will kind of develop the meta. Now I feel like we've kind of stabilized in the previous update, but with the Crackdown update, I'm excited to see how it will change people's loadouts. So you kind of mentioned that, but one of the questions were also if we are working on new updates, and I guess you can confirm that it actually is a plan to have new weapons, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some really cool, exciting things coming for the second half of this year. Not sure how much I could say, but I will say it's in our mind. We want to release more skillful weapons, easy to learn, hard to master, and some other surprises as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ben, for answering a few of the questions from the community. It's been really nice to hear more from you, and I think we'll find out more about the design and the lore of the game moving forward with the Blaston's updates. So thank you.
Yeah, enjoy the update.
All right, those were all of the interviews that we had prepared for you today. We are soon going to see the premiere of the trailer. Oh God, I just opened up a video now. And it is premiering on YouTube, so we'll watch it together. What a way to start the update, am I right? So hopefully everything works on YouTube's end as well, and that you're excited for what you're about to see, because some of the things, I'm not sure if we actually have showed them in the upload VR video that we had earlier. So if you're starting to hear the premiere sounds, then you're, yes, okay, now it's, we're going to get into it, okay? So I'm not sure if people are seeing it correctly on the stream. All right, we're gonna switch to it. So let's watch it together and let's enjoy the Crackdown update. Yes, I know you can't see it yet. I'm gonna switch to it. Hold your horses. Okay, here we go. I almost feel like I want to do some like countdown, like I actually count down with the stream, but I feel like that might be cringe, right? I'm not sure. It's like, just show the thing. I don't want to wait for this minute. Skip. I want to skip. Oh. It's cringe, bro. Okay. I mean, I can't do it for a full minute. That is going crazy. Let's do it at 10. I think so. How is everyone doing up until then? I don't think I've seen the chat active as this much before. All right, here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Here we go.
Blaston Arena, contender. Lately we've had a few unexpected visitors. We can't let them crack down and stop our dueling. Identification, please. Who will rise to the occasion and take them on? There's no way to win. Get out of my... The Scrappers Market is open for business. 3, 2, 1.
Go and play. Come on. What are you waiting for? Play!